All right, hey everyone. Today, I have a great guest today. My guest today is a media personality, ring announcer, host of League of Her Own podcast, radio interviewer, literally like Swiss Army woman of media, Carolina Teague. Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. No, I appreciate your time being here. I know you have a busy week. You're literally like running around everywhere. So,
Mm,
wherever the sports are going. So I really appreciate your time
thank
today. Thank you so much. Um and I've noticed like with your social media and all that, you're always on the move, whether it's like NFL, NBA,
you.
UFC, wrestling, any kind of sports stuff going on. Did you grow up around sports? Like, were you a sports playing person? Did you love just being around the competition? What made you kind of gravitate towards sports?
I think because I was in the south side of Chicago and the Bulls were dominating in the 90s. And for me, that was like an outlet for me from like stuff going around was watching sports. So I just gravitated towards watching sports. I love watching sports. I like, I guess not necessarily the competitive nature, but the part where they just never give up and they continue to go for whatever they strive to be there for. And that's kind of why I gravitated towards sports, because I like the mentality of if you just put in the work and you dedicate yourself to your craft and you can be successful. I really like that type of mentality, so I've kind of taken that mentality throughout me my entire life.
Yeah, and a lot of them are inspirations, right? Some of the underdog stories and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So really something to, I guess, look up to, whoever you are. Um, I've noticed too, you're around a lot of, you interview a lot of personalities. Like on your podcast, you had some fighters, I believe,
Mhm, mhm,
and I'm sure you've been around other sports um athletes. How
mhm,
how is it like being around these? They're almost like our modern day gladiators. They're
mhm,
huge people, not necessarily in popularity, but like they're big athletes, right? It's like,
mhm.
how does it feel? Is it intimidating? Is it exciting? How do you feel, and how do you like not let it kind of overwhelm you?
um I like to treat them like human beings. So that's kind of how I just take the approach, is they're just human, and I like to get more on the human side of things. And I think that's one of the things that I like to make a centerpiece whenever I'm interviewing somebody, is I like for people to get to know them as a person and of course as an athlete. And there's some people who are really great at breaking down X's and O's and being able to talk about the game and getting their insight in that particular aspect, but there's also another set of athletes that I think is really fun to look at and talk about, which is the emotional side. Because, like I said, I like the mentality where you never give up and you have those hard days, you have those hard nights, and you push through, and everybody sees the glory, but they don't necessarily see, the steps that it took to get there. So I like looking at the backstory and what made that person the way that they are. So when I talk to an athlete, I always like to just make it conversational. It's very rare that I am intimidated. Really, really rare. So I think it depends also on their like their presence and their aura. Like sometimes their energy can be intimidating. Like for example, Coach Pop for the San Antonio Spurs, like his aura is intimidating.
Oh
Sometimes,
yeah.
yeah, you even if they're athletes, like you get that you sense their energy, you sense their presence, and you just kind of go from there.
No, it's great. Yeah, and I was just about to ask who you might have ever felt intimidated by. Yeah, Coach Popovich seems like a very
Yeah, Coach Pop.
not, yeah, he's not a scary dude, but he's intimidating. Just his expertise and his knowledge of everything, I'd be pretty intimidated to go up to him and ask him just anything. Even where the bathroom might be. um,
Exactly. Like you're like, can I ask him that?
yeah.
That's a stupid question.
Let me see here. I know there's been a big rise. I don't know how recently, because I'm not much into sports. I just like I like when they're having fun. No, I like when the good guys win. I'm not a sports person per se. But there's been, it seems like a big boom with a lot of like combat sports. For instance, like the UFC and boxing. Do you think these like spin-offs that are coming out, like what's your opinion on those? Like, there's the knuckle boxing, there's the slap fighting, there's
Mhm.
card jitsu. Have you seen that? The pillow fighting.
No, but that sounds fun. That
What
actually
do
sounds fun.
what do you think of like this rise in popularity with combat sports? Do you think it's like that people want an escape or want to kind of like vicariously live through that aggression, or they just
Mhm.
see it as exciting,
I think it's entertaining. Like, no matter what combat sport is, I like to see people get beat up, tossed around, taking out that aggression on each other. And then you're done with whatever you're doing. And then you just shake hands and your friends. That's what
Mhm.
I like about wrestling. That's what I like about boxing. UFC is like you can let all the aggression out. You're competing against each other. You're fighting to the death almost in a sense.
Yeah.
And then you get to be friends. So that's kind of what I like about combat sports is like some people, like in real life, they take like an argument or a fight very, very, very personal. And when I tell people like I really don't take things personal unless you make it personal, then yeah, I will take it personal. But if it's just like we're like sparring against each other, whether it's verbally or we're sparring against each other when it comes to like what we talk about when it comes to sports world, like that's stuff that I like you can put your emotions to the side, check them, and then go all in the ring. And that's what I really love about combat sports is like they fight to the death and then they shake hands afterwards. So whether it's pillow fighting or whatever the case may be, I like it. I would never say no to people letting their aggression out as long as it's safe and as long as it's like safe. Yeah, like you don't kill each other in the end or like whoever dies first, like that to me would be a little too far. But like
Mhm.
pillow fighting, like all that type of stuff, like slap fighting, if that's what y'all want to do and y'all are friends afterwards and y'all just shake hands, whatever makes people happy, I'm all for it. So yeah, like let's do combat like however you want to, like I don't care.
Yeah, as long as it's mutual and we're all able to uh
Survive.
leave it in the ring,
Yeah.
per se.
And
It's
survive. Yeah, and
Yeah,
survive.
of
Yeah.
course. Follow
Yeah.
all safety. It's exciting. It really is. It goes back to, like we said, the Coliseum days, like our days of wanting to see
Mhm.
the best of the best battle, and
Mhm.
that's see who's the best, in
Mhm.
whatever sport it might be.
Yeah, I
Um
feel maybe like in my past life or people like whoever's like me who likes that stuff, I bet you we were in the arenas in Rome back in the day. So that's probably what we did.
just the front seat just cheering
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I saw on the Twitter you were talking about the rap battle between what was it, Drake and Kendrick. I haven't followed it much. I'm more into sad girl pop music. That's just the way I've gotten recently. Who do you think, besides like who might be winning the battle right now, because I know it's even ongoing and it is a little one-sided or whatever. Who do you think would win like in a boxing match between the two, Kendrick or Drake?
A boxing match?
Yeah.
Oh man, Kendrick Short, he's like 5'5". A boxing match. I don't know. Drake is pretty big, right? And
Mhm.
so, but I heard he has lipo, according to Kendrick. So if I don't know if he might get hurt if he gets hit in the liver, if he gets a liver shot. But if he, I feel like I've never seen Kendrick fight. If Kendrick could work the inside and be able to get to Drake, he obviously has a smaller reach and stuff like that. But I heard little people can fight, and little people
Oh
can
yeah.
fight actually.
Mhm.
So little people can fight, so I think Kendrick might win this one. Like, never underestimate a little person, especially when they're angry. So, little angry people, like people say I'm little and I get angry and I'm too much. So, like, little angry people, like, don't underestimate us. So, give me Kendrick.
Yeah, he would seem like the smaller area to hit, the smaller hitbox, the
hmm
faster. You could land 10 punches to Drake's one, and who knows if he
Yeah.
does a little like sissy slap or something when he punches. Who knows?
Yeah, you better
Uh,
be quick. Yeah.
exactly. Um, I saw there's like been a blow up with college female basketball, right? With the whole Caitlin Clark thing. I know
Mhm.
I never followed even college basketball, let alone when I read about that. And it was exciting. Even I was caught up in the excitement. With her being picked overall draft in the WNBA, do you think she'll bring like a spotlight to the WNBA and help it out, or do you think it's the NBA itself kind of not promoting it as well as they could?
Mhm.
Do you think that there's issues there? Like I know Sheik's going to bring that star power to it and help it get to that level of
Mhm.
popularity, of course, and we hope it lasts. But do you think it's the NBA too, kind of just not like kind of putting it as their second fiddle, of course, because you have the NBA, which is their moneymaker, you know?
Mhm. Um, it's a little bit of both. It's the popularity for the WNBA since Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have arrived has gotten way bigger now. Plus the fact that you have to have the number of eyeballs, people subscribing to the WNBA app, people attending the games, people buying season tickets. It has a lot to do with everything. It's all inclusive. So I feel like Caitlin Clark being there is a big draw to the WNBA. So is Angel Reese and all the other great WNBA players as well. So time will tell if they are going to be putting more, but I do believe there should definitely be more marketing for the WNBA just based off of what we've seen the past year. So time will tell if that marketing comes into fruition. I think one of the great things that they could do is incorporate the WNBA and the NBA together in the All-Star break. I like how Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry did the three-point contest. Perhaps maybe doing a 3-on-3 in a sense between men versus women that also would bring attention to the WNBA. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that the NBA could do to help out, and I hope that they do down the line because I don't like the fact that WNBA players do not get paid a lot. So I hope
Yeah,
one day it grows to where it should be, which is where these women are making as much pay as the lowest NBA player makes. So that's where I'm at.
yeah, and I remember seeing that there's a huge pay gap between the two, but then there's also a huge viewership between the two also,
Mhm.
and it's hard. I understand fair pay. You want to pay everyone because they're equally as talented, but it's hard to do that with when people are arguing but they're not. Well, have you bought a ticket? Have you gone to see a WNBA game? Have you done it? So it's all in the power of the people, really.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yeah, no, I'd hope it would become more popular, especially with how those Caitlin Clark games they got huge eyes, right? Like the
Mhm.
biggest numbers
Yeah.
ESPN had seen. So
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It was incredible.
And I did see this time that I don't know how to say his last name. I don't want to butcher it. Victor Wembanyama.
Wimbenyama. Yeah. He
He
won
he
Rookie of the Year.
he just won Rookie of the Year. I'm here in San Antonio too, so I'm a Spurs fan. I've been following them really since the Duncan, Ginobili, Parker days because that was like the glory days. It
Mhm.
was so
Mhm.
exciting. But what do you think about the criticism? Because I saw that people when he was picked they were like, "Well, he's kind of skinny. He's not this big built kind of dude, more like a Zion Williamson type looking, maybe." How do you feel about the criticism of that? Do you think if he wasn't picked by the Spurs and he wasn't coached by Greg Popovich, that he would have flourished as well, like with another team, as he did with the Spurs?
He was already a generational talent, so I think he would have flourished wherever he was at just because he has a mentality, in my opinion, of somebody who is wants to be great, who's destined to be great. Now, would his development have been equal as to where he if he were to not be under Greg Popovich? We'll never know, right?
Mhm.
But we do know that Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs have one of the best developmental teams in the NBA, and everybody says that's a great place to start if you are in the NBA. So for Victor to start with the Spurs, wanting to be with the Spurs, manifesting being with the Spurs, that coming into fruition, and he is Rookie of the Year, it's just the stars align and everything is good to go for him. As far as the criticism with his weight, he's been criticized for his weight since the beginning. Everybody always says he's too skinny. Maybe down the line he will gain some weight, and he's young. He is going to gain weight, period. Like we all gain weight as we get older. So he is going to eventually gain weight. And to compare him to Zion, that just wouldn't make sense because Zion also got criticized for being overweight. He still gets criticized for being the most overweight player in the NBA. So you just can't win with people. And all that
Uh-huh.
matters is that he's Rookie of the Year. And I am hoping the Spurs are a playoff team next year if they can move in the right direction. So it'll be fun to watch.
Definitely. I've always loved the Spurs because it feels like they've made stars out of just regular players. Like, like what was it like Ginobili? He wasn't. I don't think and I don't follow sports as much, but I know he wasn't like a first pick or all the other members that I remember seeing like when they were playing the Heat, and it was like the most exciting time
Mhm,
here in San Antonio because it was back and back, back and
mhm,
forth, back and forth.
mhm.
It was exciting. No, so yeah, I wonder what it's gonna be like with the Spurs. I just love the Spurs, but
I know, and the thing, yeah, like Ginobili wasn't somebody who was like this huge draw to the NBA. It was more like you said, Miami Heat, the big three, a huge. Well, actually, people say the Spurs are the big three, but when people marketed the Spurs, it was like they're boring. They're not this huge draw, but they won rings, and I think that's the method and the strategy that they've used. So yeah, the Spurs have always had a great organization. So it's exciting to see what they do this year. I can't wait. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, and they were always born, not made. Like they weren't these super team
Yeah.
ups that LeBron made popular when he, announced that he was going to Miami or whatever he did, taking his
Right.
talents. Yeah,
He's taking
so
his talents to Miami. Yeah. Yeah, no, they were built, not bought. And that's the thing that makes them who they are and why it's so impressive in comparison to other teams who were built or actually were bought and not built. It's so hard to
yeah, it's
it's so
weird
hard.
'cause
But yeah, no, they were built, not bought, and that's a good thing too. Like those are, and that's kind of like traditional NBA teams. Essentially, they were built, not bought. And there was a moment in time where this new era wave came after LeBron, and it was more like if you have the money, you can build your team. So it's good to see that they're still doing things the way that they want to do it, and they're not budging.
no, I love the Spurs. They're wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now even exciting to me because I know I'm more into wrestling, professional wrestling. There's this rebirth they call it, right? Renaissance of professional wrestling, whether it's with WWE, AEW, TNA, and NWA, all the three-letter names. I know you're part of the local San Antonio one, Mission Pro Wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
where it's all women, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I think that's like amazing. How did you become a part of that? I love that it's able to showcase. I mean, just independent talent, not let alone just it being female talent, but just independent talent. How did you come about being a part of that? How does it feel being a part of Mission Pro Wrestling?
So I'm still at River City Wrestling. So I started in San Antonio here at River City Wrestling. When I was on radio, Brandon Oliver saw this vision in me that I didn't see in myself, which was I would be great to be a part of the wrestling community and to be a ring announcer. And I think it may be because I was loud on the microphone when I met him. I don't know. But I did. I ended up becoming a ring announcer for River City Wrestling. I still am one. We have another show coming up May 26th. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I've been ring announcing for them, and Brandon would see things in me that I often didn't see in myself. Like I was always like I actually ignored all the criticism, and I still do to this day. Like I've heard things about myself, I don't even care. But
That's great.
like I love ring announcing. It's so much fun to me. Like I take it really seriously, and I love the wrestlers. I love being a part of the wrestling community. Out of all the things I've done, radio, television, covering football, covering basketball, covering all the best, covering boxing. The best crowd for me personally is always wrestling because those fans are very, very loyal, and they're just so unique and fun, and they cheer the loudest, and it's so much fun. So I was ring announcing, and then I started to spread my wings. Once I won Ring Announcer of the Year, people started like drum up interest for me and started wanting to book me for other promotional companies. So then I started branching out to other promotional companies once I stopped covering the Spurs. Like a season and a half ago, which I might try to cover the Spurs again this year, but it's really exhausting.
Oh
But
man,
but I started to branch out to different promotional companies. Mission Pro Wrestling had actually contacted me, and we had been talking for several months, and we finally decided, okay, they want me to be the general manager. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what that entailed. But I did sign up for the job, and it's a lot. So I love doing it, and I like doing it. I like being a part of reality of wrestling. That's over there in Houston. They have a fantastic team. I like being a part of River City Wrestling, and I love being a part of Mission Pro Wrestling. Those are three companies in wrestling that I am beyond grateful to be a part of. And I just like, it feels like a dream come true being a part of not only wrestling, but a part of like three of the best companies in Texas. I just feel like the luckiest girl on earth. I really do, because I'm like, because people always ask me, like, how do I do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, but I feel like the luckiest girl on earth that I am a part of three fantastic companies, and fingers crossed, because like I want to stay here forever.
What would you equate that to? Well, it is obviously your skill because you're doing something right. But do you manifest it? Is it the right place, right time? Like, I wouldn't even say it is your skill because you're winning awards. You're saying you're doing it. You're everywhere. You're putting in the work. So it is you. You're making it happen, and that's amazing. You know.
I think so.
And how does it feel like, you know, back when I was growing up with wrestling, it was bra and panty matches. It was, not very great for women. Not that I was against that because I was a little boy, of course. We grew up with it. It was the Attitude Era. But now
Mhm.
seeing these women that are like Amazonian gladiators, like you would even say like Jade Cargill, Camille, Thunder Rosa, like
Bianca, all of them.
amazing talents. Like, how does it feel? I know I love it because I have nieces now, and I could show them wrestling and say, look, these are like powerful women. How does it feel to be around just like these talents like that are just as good as men? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain. How does it feel to be
Yeah.
around the talent like that now? If I don't know if you grew up in that same sort of generation where women were, like the filler matches or the bathroom matches or something. Like, it's amazing that we're getting this spotlight on this talent like that. How does it feel?
It feels really empowering, simply because of the fact that in sports media, it is not really friendly to women. And that's one of the reasons why I love wrestling the most, is because, well, it's friendly to women to an extent, right?
Hmm.
But with wrestling, if you're a woman and you're good at what you do, they will actually put you in a position of power, and they won't feel intimidated by it. Like, I am a general manager at Mission Pro Wrestling. Like, I am a general manager. And
Amazing.
to get promoted to a general manager, like, that is unheard of for like any other field that I was a part of, no matter how hard I worked. So given the power to do that and being able to like to make everyone happy and make the best decisions, that's all I could ask for. So it feels empowering to be around, like I said, unique people that don't look like the traditional person that you would see on television. Like, for example, like I've always had as, and I'm a human being, like I feel like for me, I feel like it's really deep for people to say, like, it's hard for people to like say what they're insecure with themselves about, right? And I
Hmm.
feel like at some point growing up, like I've had things that I've had to deal with as far as like my personal struggles with my image, or am I good enough? Am I tall enough? Am I pretty enough? Especially with the beauty standard that we have placed on women. And so when I look at wrestling and when I see all these powerful women, and we all look different and we all come from different walks of life, but we all believe in ourselves, we're all confident, and we all like it helps me become confident. It helps me be proud of who I am, be proud of what I look like, work harder. It just helps me build that confidence to where I really want to be. And that's why it's important to, like you said, like little girls looking at these confident women that look like them and talk like them. And I've always been told, like in different realms of what I do, is like you can't be too aggressive, you can't be too loud, you're too loud, you're too aggressive, you're not pretty enough, you just aren't good enough, right? I've been told all those things. So to be a part of wrestling and to have people say you are good enough, you are the right look, are this, you are that, and have um that type of reassurance that what you're doing is right because you're working hard and you're just putting in the work and you're willing to show up. That's the biggest thing that could boost your confidence, as far as I'm concerned. So that's why I always hold wrestling to this standard that other sports don't necessarily have. Like, it's very hard for women to be in football. It is very hard for women to be in baseball. It is very hard for women to be in soccer. It is really hard for women to be in boxing. And I love all of those sports, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But wrestling, you literally can just become yourself and just be unique, and just like, I can't explain it. Like, I feel like you could just be yourself, like whoever you really are. Like, Jade Cargill is who she is, right? Then you have Osaka, she's who she is, Saka, whoever. And then you have Roxanne Perez, and then you have somebody like Ren Sinclair, and you have somebody like, I don't know, the Bella twins. They're freaking twins, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different varieties you can choose from. So that's why I love wrestling, like, because little girls who, when they grow up, they'll be like, I really want to do this because I saw the Bella twins do it. I saw Jade Cargill do it. I saw Bianca Belair do it. I saw Chelsea Green do it. Like, there's so many people to pick from, like, and you pick your favorite and then be the best version of yourself. And that's what I love about wrestling.
No, it's great. Yeah, and it goes against the whole, well, like you said, the standard, like that's not ladylike, and it's like
Yeah.
you're in wrestling. You don't. There is no
You
such
don't
thing.
have
You
to
could,
be.
yeah, you could lean into whatever you want. Like I have my niece. She's young but really tall, and that's kind of an insecurity to her. And I tell her, look at these Amazonian, like Greek goddess women. Like
Mhm.
they're tall, they're amazing. Like Camille, like Jade Cargill. Like lean into it, own it,
And they
because
own it,
uh-huh.
exactly. Like, it's
Mhm.
like, because people want to make us feel small, right? So we don't blossom like the way we're supposed to. So when you're in wrestling and when you look at wrestlers and they look like you're like, wait a minute, that person stands tall. Like Nia Jax, like, she gets ragged on all the time, but she is so confident. So
Mhm.
it's like, she don't care what nobody has to say. So that's why I look watching wrestling, like, 100%, because like I said, you could literally be whoever you want to be. I truly love, like, how wrestling allows people to be themselves. And like I said, like, I've been told so many times in different sports fields, like, I need to be softer, I'm too rough around the edges. And with wrestling, like, that's perfect. Like, that's
Mhm.
exactly what they want. So
There's room for every shape and size in wrestling.
yes, every
Yeah.
shape, every size, every personality,
Mhm.
there's something for everybody, and that's what I really love about it.
No, that's yeah. I love wrestling so much.
Me too.
I was gonna ask you. Let's see here. What these are going just some random questions up here. What do you think is the best sports movie? I know I love like the Water Boy, Field of Dreams, Little Giants, Space Jam, not the new one, the first one.
Mhm.
What would you say? And it doesn't have to be accurate, of course. It could just be like your guilty pleasure of a sports movie. What do you think is the best sports movie?
I am a horrible movie picker, so I'm gonna go with Space Jam, Remember the Titans, and Draft Day. Draft Day, people like, hey, Draft Day. I love Draft Day. I love Draft Day.
I don't
Draft Day
remember
is
what
an
though.
NFL movie. You need to go watch it. It's just super intense.
I'll have to check it
Like,
out.
it's like, you either love it or you hate it. Like, I love it. So go watch Draft Day. Like, I love
No,
Draft.
no, I'll have to check it out. What's your go-to karaoke song? Are you into karaoke, Ian?
I love karaoke. I've been actually trying to find people to go to karaoke with.
Ooh.
And I have been practicing on the low. I like to sing rap,
Mhm.
but I have been practicing Selena. So I want to sing Spanish when I go next time. So I want to sing Si Una Vez by Selena. So that is what I'm practicing for. So when you catch me at karaoke, I will be singing Si Una Vez. And if you catch me singing it and you don't like the way it sounds, mind your business.
Oh man, Selena's great.
I love
God,
Selena. Yeah.
Selena's.
R.I.P. I
I
know. Yeah.
know.
San Antonio. Facts.
What would you say? And I hope I don't sound too sexist here, because I know I make a mean potato salad. But what's your like go-to cooking dish? Like if you want to impress someone, and this
Mm.
is like, oh man, I need to like be on my game. I need a bat 100. I don't know what the perfect thing is there. What is your go to dish to impress someone, or to make that you make perfect?
So I have a cooking channel on YouTube. It's called Cooking with Caro, and nobody knows
Mm,
about it. And I told this on the last podcast, so I don't take it as offense. Like I love to cook, because I feel like because I'm a Cancer, as my zodiac sign, we like to like make people happy with like the home. So like cooking a good meal is our way to show like we love you or whatever. Like my kids, my parents, like I like to cook. So I would say if I had to pick something, it would be pollo guisado. What's that pollo guisado? It's called Mexican pollo guisado, which is basically you get oil, you dice some tomatoes, you dice some serrano, and you dice some onion. You saute that a little bit, and then you boil a salsa with 2 tomatoes and 4 serrano. Once you boil the salsa, you add a little bit of adobo, blend that up. You get the salsa, you add it on top of the diced serrano, tomato, onion. Then you add some tomato chicken bouillon, and then you add a little bit more adobo. Then you add some potatoes in there, diced potatoes, and then you add cooked shredded chicken in there, and then you so it's going to be really spicy,
yeah.
and then you stir that all up, add a little bit of water, because so it's basically a hot salsa with more chiles. Then you add the chicken, the potato, cover that up, and you let that simmer for like 25 minutes. Super good. And yeah, it's really, really good. So that'll, knock it out the park every single time.
I'm about to say I heard Serrano and I was like, ooh, that sounds a little spicy for me, but it does sound good.
You could do jalapeno if you're weak or whatever, but
I am weak. I might have to find the less
you gotta do it,
spicy one.
Serrano, though. I'm telling you, like you might have to do one, but you got to. It's so good, and
Take the
I'm telling
seeds
you,
out.
it's gonna snatch your soul from you. I swear to God, it's so good. Hmm.
Last year, finally and again, I thank you so much for your time. What because I said I have nieces. One's really just born, a 2 year old, I believe, and the other one's getting there to her quinceañera. Oh my god, it's crazy seeing them grow up. What would you tell of like a young girl coming into this world of like sports broadcasting? Of course, we talked about how it's like predominantly male. What advice would you give them that you wanted to give yourself maybe back then to not feel intimidated, or like for any like resources or knowledge? Like how would you help them out, coming up?
I would say be yourself always. Go. This was a tough lesson I learned. Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And if it ain't directed, it ain't respected. Those are the three things that I would say.
That's very good advice, very direct.
Mhm.
No, again, thank you so much, Carolina, for your time. I really appreciate it. I
Thank you.
know people can find you. You're everywhere. I know you're at CT the Mike Slayer on Twitter. You have a League of her own podcasts on YouTube, and for sure I'll put all the other. You have a lot of a lot of like places here that you're at all the time. I'll put that in the description. But anything else that you'd want to like push to people, or you know
Yeah, League of Our Own is every single Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. And follow me on Twitter, CT the Mike Slayer. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Carolina Teague Sports, and follow me on Facebook, Carolina Teague. And thank you so much. If you guys follow me, I will follow you back. Just let me know you found me here on this podcast. And thank you guys so much for watching.
and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I hope everyone takes care and be safe. See y'all later. Bye.